Becky Lynch is calling out another big WWE legend and talking about how that match would go down between them. So we'll see what she had to say there. We'll also see what had Triple H furious, the latest on Solo Sikoa, and much more. Let's start things off with this Becky Lynch topic. Like we've been talking about over the last few days, Becky Lynch's character is right at the start of a new redemption arc. After spending pretty much the last 3 years as champion, she suffered a big loss at WrestleMania and lost that champion status. But like Becky Lynch said during her return promo, it's not something that she's worried about because she's been here and done this before. She knows what that climb to the top is like, and knows she can do it again. Her first real test and obstacle during this redemption arc will be Asuka. It's a tricky feud to predict because both women really can't afford to lose right now. Becky is coming off her WrestleMania loss, but Asuka hasn't been seen in almost a year, so that feud is gonna be a real close toss-up there. But before Becky can get to Asuka, she already is addressing another dream match that's out there. Becky Lynch had this to say about Trish Stratus while speaking on a recent episode of the featured cut of the day. Quote, "If Trish Stratus wants to go, I'm ready to go. But I think she should know that I destroyed her bestie, Lita. Her bestie who I loved, who was my hero, who was my idol. I wasn't a Trish Stratus fan, so just imagine what I will do to her." End quote. Becky and Trish were going back and forth with each other in late March to promote the WWE live events in Canada that Trish was hosting. Becky called Trish out, which led to Trish getting Becky pushed to the back of the line at the airport. That mini-story concluded at those Canada live events when Trish slapped Becky Lynch after her match. But what about an actual feud and match on WWE television between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus? That's what fans are curious to know about. Becky Lynch put herself out there and used what she did to Lita as an example of what she would do to Trish Stratus. Becky said that Lita was her favorite growing up, and look what she did to her. So she said, imagine what she'll do to someone that's not her favorite. It may be a nice little story for Trish as well. Maybe her main motive of coming for Becky would be to avenge Lita for what Becky did to her. Maybe that's a backstory behind it. But if WWE did ever want to make this match take place, there's already a lot of history and backstory to build off of between Trish and Becky for sure. Triple H, Vince McMahon, and the entire WWE all have strict rules that the superstars must comply with. But one very important legal rule went unnoticed by some superstars, and they were Enzo and Big Cass. This story comes from Cass's recent appearance on Renee Paquette's podcast. He had this to say about that story with Triple H. Quote, "We went off script in SummerSlam in Brooklyn and sang, I think, a Frank Sinatra song. And you cannot sing or imitate things that are copyrighted. That was a stern talking to. It was Triple H. He was furious, but we didn't know. We didn't know there was such a thing. If you go back and watch that SummerSlam, it was 2016. They had to cut it. That was something we weren't told in NXT. We did it and we thought, yeah, New York, we crushed it, man. That was on the fly and everybody was with it. Then we got to the back and it was like, you, come here." End quote. So they were just having fun out there and decided to have this unscripted moment of singing a Frank Sinatra song. But come to their surprise, it could have been massive legal troubles for all parties involved. So if any superstar plans on singing, it better be a custom original song or they'll likely have to face the same reaction from Triple H and company. Now let's get into the latest with everything related to Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. Everything is going well for Roman Reigns right now. He just passed 600 days as Universal Champion, just main evented his 6th WrestleMania main event, and just unified the 2 main world titles in WWE. Roman is on top of the world and doing historic things, to say the absolute least. Same thing goes for his fellow Bloodline members, the Usos. Jimmy and Jay have been tag team champions for nearly 300 days. Everything is looking up for Roman Reigns and the Usos right now, but a big concern that has a lot of fans talking: is there really enough fresh stories and opponents to keep them going for another 6 months or a year? That's the important question to ask. Of course, there was that report from a few weeks back that said Roman holding on to the world title until next year's WrestleMania actually is a realistic possibility. So that's something else to keep in the back of our heads. But what's one way to bring in some new life into the Bloodline and generate a spark? Well, a lot of fans are looking at Jimmy and Jay's brother, Solo Sikoa, to be that spark. Despite their real-life connections to each other, it's still unknown if Solo Sikoa, the WWE character, is on good terms with Roman and the Usos or not. Remember back before Solo Sikoa's NXT debut, a large part of his character backstory was how he was sort of left behind by the rest of the family, and how he had to fight and defend himself on his own, hence the name Solo. So, even though a lot of people think Solo's main roster path is through the Bloodline, his backstory gives us this kind of pause. What if there is some tension there, and he's a bit upset with his family members for jumping to WWE and basically forgetting about him? So maybe that's the case as well. Maybe Solo Sikoa would need a lot of convincing in order to join Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, but assuming that they're able to convince him to join, he would freshen things up with the Bloodline. The best part about Solo Sikoa joining the Bloodline on the main roster is that it will give him solid sense of direction on the main roster. We've seen a lot of NXT superstars get called up. They have a match or two, disappear for several months, get a character change, and then just pretty much end up getting lost in the shuffle. So by aligning with Roman and the Usos, Solo would have a solid seat on the main roster and wouldn't have to fear about getting forgotten about after a few weeks. It would also give him instant big stories. Maybe Roman Reigns and the Usos are putting him through different tests, letting him do some of their dirty work just to prove himself. So that connection with Roman and the Usos just immediately puts him on this big platform with stories all around him. Not only is it good for Solo Sikoa, but his addition to the Bloodline could be great for the entire faction. Roman Reigns has been waiting for more and more titles to be represented by the Bloodline members. So Solo Sikoa could be a big key to getting another title into the Bloodline. Maybe Solo Sikoa brings back that Intercontinental or United States to Roman Reigns in order to truly earn his trust and respect. It gives Solo Sikoa a great story and title win, while also putting another WWE title in the hands of Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. Do you think Solo should join his family on Smackdown? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.